Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I want to give you guys a brief end of the day summary on what has happened today and what is currently happening. Now, on top of that, I want to go over obviously all of the data behind AMC stock that you guys need and want to know, but I also want to talk about the differences here between GME and AMC, because now that AMC is going to be able to raise a significant amount of capital, pay off all of their debt, and rebrand their business, for lack of a better word, and re-avenue and restructure their business into potentially different revenue streams. Kind of think about this like Nintendo in the 80s used to sell vacuum cleaners. Now they sell gaming systems, completely reinvented the business. AMC has the potential to do this now, but a lot of people are pointing out that GameStop has a lot less debt than AMC. GameStop has been losing a lot less money than AMC. What are the differences here? A lot of people have made a lot of comments about GME and kind of comparing the two, and I think there really is no comparison right now. So I want to talk about that here in this video as well. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. And without any ado, let's get into it. So first things first, let's talk about what has happened on the day today. Big story is, if you guys did not hear, the economy is slowing much faster than expectations. Private payrolls rose by 145,000 in March, well below the expectation of 210,000 jobs. Really, leisure and hospitality added another 98,000 workers. This is really the bright spot of all of these payroll reports. I think that will quickly come to a screeching halt over the next couple of months as we do head into summertime and people realize they massively overhired for the demand that we are going to see. So I think that kind of is going to work against the markets over the next coming months. And keep in mind, bad economic data right now has been bad for the markets, and you guys can see markets are down. Nasdaq down about 1.33% at the time of recording this video. Still some time left towards the end of the day, of course, but not a good sign as far as upcoming economic data that's going to be coming out. Like on Friday, interestingly enough, the markets are closed on Friday, and you're going to get the unemployment rate coming out at 8:30 in the morning, expected to come in at 3.6%. Last month's reading in February was also 3.6%. Non-farm payrolls for the month of March as well, expected to come in at 240,000. Last month's reading was 311,000. So you are expecting still a lot of jobs to be added, and I think if you get less than that, it's going to be a very negative thing for this stock market. And I think this private payroll report really highlights that maybe expectations are way too high and maybe the economy is slowing a lot faster than people's expectations. Now, that's really what we have in store for on Friday. Tomorrow, you're going to get Fed Bullard that speaks at 10 o'clock in the morning. That will be very important, as well as initial jobless claims, which also will be important. Now, let's switch gears. Let's talk about AMC and the data on the day. AMC stock is still up about 2.5% on a day where Apple is down almost 2%. That is very positive. I would say that is a net positive for AMC. Now, as we reported to you guys in the last video, cost to borrow rates continue to soar with AMC today, going from 855% yesterday to over 1,000% here today. Cost to borrow average at about 500% and cost to borrow minimum sitting at about 8%. Live short interest of free float at 25% with 130 million shares that are currently sold short, up about 110,000 here today. Now, cost to borrow rates from Interactive Brokers, last update we got was April 3rd, sitting at about 351% with about 200,000 shares that are currently that are currently available to be lent out. Keep in mind, this was from April 3rd, so it's still quite a bit delayed here. So there you have that information. Now, I do want to switch gears briefly. I guess we can look at the Stonko Tracker data as well, because I think that is important. Also, we'll talk AMC on a technical basis as well, because I think that is also important. Now, for this Friday, well, for this Thursday, April 6th, it's going to be the last trading day of this week. You got 3,800 calls currently in the money, 165,000 calls that are currently out of the money. In the money put sitting at about 115,000, out of the money puts at about 50,000. So you are looking at some, I think that's the last one. Some decent option activity for this week. Next week, you're going to have 3,000 calls in the money, 67,000 calls that are currently out of the money, 37,000 puts in the money, and about 39,000 puts that are out of the money. Now, keep in mind next week as well, you're going to have CPI on Wednesday. You're also going to have bank earnings that start next week, and that is going to be vitally important. Not only just the bank earnings themselves, but the commentary around how they are lending out their money, right? This credit crunch that you guys keep hearing about, that is going to be of the utmost importance because that will lead us into a recession. Now, coming with CPI, if CPI is not coming down fast enough and you're hearing credit crunch, recession, consumers not good, people not hiring as much, starting to lose their jobs, right? Whereas inflation remains super high, you're not going to get that Fed pivot. You're not going to get rate cuts. You're not going to get accommodation from the Fed. And this is going to turn into a very bad shit show in a very short amount of time. So do keep all of that information in mind. Now, AMC to GME, I want to talk about this here for really the remainder of this video. We'll look at the charts as well for AMC. Guess it wasn't the last one here in just a second as well. But really, when it comes down to AMC and GME, a lot of people have tried to call out the fact that, so for whatever reason, the mic cut out on me. I filmed that whole video and like half of it, like dead in the center, stopped recording. So nonetheless, we're going to continue on where we left. It might be a little choppy in that split zone, but let's talk about the differences here. Now, GME, if you actually look at the balance sheet here, if you look at the debt, because that's a big argument of investors saying that GME does not have that much debt relative to AMC, and that's true. AMC has about 4 times the amount of debt as GME's. GME's debt sits at about 1.2 billion. AMC's debt sits at about 4.8 billion. So it's right on about 4 times more debt than GME, right? AMC. So yes, you got an argument there, but I would say to that, fundamentally speaking, in the next 5 years, GME's business model is going to zero. There is not going to be brick and mortar video game sales anymore. You're not going to buy consoles for, gamers, right? The new PlayStation or Xbox in a GameStop. That's not going to be a thing. Everyone is switching to direct to consumer. Sony, Microsoft, right? They're going to start to sell their stuff straight to consumers. So I think if you look at GME's business model compared to AMC's, movie theaters, they're not going away in the next 5 years, right? There's a more long-term sustainability with AMC compared to GME, and I think that's why the debt is not as important with AMC compared to GME. GME really needs to change things around, fundamentally speaking. Now, we're obviously not investors in either of these companies for fundamentals. There's a lot better investments you could make for fundamentals. So I don't think that is really necessarily huge argument. I don't think that is a sticking point for a lot of us investors. It's something a lot of people have talked about in the comment sections of these videos, but ultimately I don't think that matters. Now, I think really the biggest thing that matters, and the biggest difference that I don't think a lot of people realize is, yes, GME was the first to the show. GME was the first stock to really go parabolic, to make the news, all of that. But AMC has taken that. GME is no longer the top dog in this squeeze the shorts kind of arena anymore. It is AMC, and everyone is looking forward to squeezing the shorts. Shorts are getting greedy in AMC. They're not getting as greedy in GME, and you can see that reflected in the high cost to borrow rates, so on and so forth. With AMC stock, there's a big difference between these two names in that regard. The popularity factor of AMC is much greater, and I think that does give the stock a lot more power to rally. That's going to fuel a lot more of that FOMO to actually take place, and I do think if AMC pays off all of its debt and has billions in the bank, it's going to mean a lot more than if GME had no debt and billions more in the bank. But keep in mind, the first quarter that AMC is actually profitable, it's going to be in 2023. That is going to cause a massive rally in AMC stock, just like it caused a 45% rally in GameStop, right? It's going to be a very big deal, and I think apples to apples here, there really is no comparison anymore. Although I do like GameStop, and I do think they can have those very violent rallies, right? Earnings, 45% rally is nothing to sneeze at with GME, but I do think AMC holds a lot more weight in actually squeezing the shorts out of short positions. And you can see this reflected in just comparing the numbers here. These short interests, I mean, sitting at 21%. AMC is sitting at about 25%, but the cost to borrow numbers, AMC's cost to borrow max sitting at about 1,000%. GME's cost to borrow max at 16%. Big difference here, right? So I do like AMC obviously a lot more, and I do think there's a lot more potential here to get a short squeeze on a very big level. And I think there's going to be a lot of volatility here in the near term. Think the court date, April 27th. Who knows what's going to happen? If the judge is going to extend this proceeding, if they're going to make a new court date, if the judge is going to say the settlement is not fair, there's a lot of different ways this could go. But I think either way it goes at this point, it's bullish because the markets are now completely pricing in that this is actually going to go through. The markets are expecting this dilution, this equity raise is going to happen. AMC is going to raise a lot of capital, and every time AMC has raised a lot of capital, it has caused the stock to rally. So I think for a lot of those reasons, I am very bullish on where AMC currently sits relative to GME, but I think there's potential in both of these names. Guys, so that is going to do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to take it a step further, come trade with me live in real time every single day down below in the description of this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.